Hello, everyone. This is Rick with the Cyber Pro podcast. We're excited. We're going to be talking with Aaron Painter today. Remember, this is the short form video podcast. We have tons of bonus content. You're going to want to kick back and take a look at everything. But let's get to it. Aaron, first question, easiest question of the day. Who are you and what do you do?
Aaron Painter. I'm the CEO of NameTag, a company I founded about 4 years ago after nearly 14 years at Microsoft, a couple of years running another company based in the UK called CloudReach, and a ton of time working in different countries around the world.
Talk to me a little bit. I'm going to jump right in with a pivot question. Talk to me a little bit about what it feels like to be not only a cyber professional, but a founder in the space.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, confusion, and some sort of like mystique or a mystery around what it means to be in cyber. And one of the biggest things I've taken from being in this space and working with so many others who are newer to the space is that a lot of innovation can happen when you bring people that aren't necessarily ones who grew up in the world of cyber. There are a lot of different ways of thinking, ways of solving problems, sort of diverse experiences people might have had in other parts of their lives that can actually be really effective when you're trying to get into the mindset of what cyber activity looks like or ways to invent new ways to kind of block or deter bad actors.
I love it. I love it. So let's get right into some of the heart of it then. You're pretty ingrained in the industry. So what recent evolutions have you noticed in the cyber landscape?
The biggest risk factor that we see coming up today was something that some of our customers were very early in becoming aware of and kind of being preventative around. And then sort of the landscape opened up end of last summer, particularly with, unfortunately, MGM. And MGM and then the subsequent many other companies like Clorox and Caesars that kind of followed suit. But it's this concept of social engineering, and particularly the place that social engineering seems to happen most often is the help desk, be it internally the IT help desk or the customer support desk. And what we've learned as we've really gone deep on this space is that MFA, as wonderful as it is, and the security benefits that it's brought us and kind of almost table stakes, you need MFA, multi-factor authentication on top of a password. But MFA has this challenge around recovery. Because once you implement MFA, you almost immediately see a corresponding surge in support tickets of users who get locked out or need to provision or re-provision, or they got a new phone or they upgraded their phone, whatever the reason might be. It's up to half of support desk tickets for most companies once they've rolled out MFA. And every one of those support tickets is something that's frustrating, it's certainly expensive, and it's also incredibly risky. Because you've left sort of this manual effort of, do I make the decision to reset someone's account based on how well they answer security questions, or maybe, what they appear like on some kind of video call? It's just this risky process that takes away a lot of the great benefits of having implemented MFA in the first place, because it's susceptible to sort of work around. And that's been one of the biggest sort of wake-up calls, I think, that we've seen in the industry. And unfortunately, it feels like we're at this moment of an epidemic where there are bad actors that are taking advantage of this vulnerability to a significant degree.
Have you identified a solution or a process or a path to fixing it?
Yeah, our solution rests around using the modern technology in mobile phones. And there's this flow that was developed, 10 plus years ago, and a whole bunch of companies do, that you think of as a know your customer, KYC flow. Maybe you open a bank account, maybe you've done it online, and they ask you to, scan your ID and take a selfie. And that workflow is getting more common for different parts of the internet. The challenge is that was built for regulatory compliance. It was built for someone to check a box and say, yep, we plausibly checked that the person opening this bank account is who they claim. But it's interesting that when you call your bank, let's say, to transact, they don't ask you for that again. They don't trust the fidelity of that. They go to other things like security questions, which unfortunately are not great in today's world because so many of the answers, right, are commonly available somewhere on the internet because you or someone else sort of leaked that information. And so we take the end user flow of doing an identity verification, scanning ID and taking a selfie, but we built it for security. We built it for anti-fraud scenarios. And we've taken something that was 100% browser-based and made it 100% mobile-based. And by using a mobile phone, even if you initiate the experience from a desktop workflow, by using mobile phones, you get all these advanced features to use when you're evaluating someone's identity at that moment. So it goes beyond just, is there a government ID and is there a selfie? But let's say we're capturing the selfie with a three-dimensional depth map from the Face ID camera on the iPhone, right? We're able to look at the gyroscope and how the phone moves. We're able to, most importantly, use the cryptography benefits of mobile phones and sort of the walled gardens that Apple and Android have created to make sure that we're using the cameras on the devices when we're doing the capture. And we're getting all of it in high fidelity and with a lot of great telemetry. And so the process can be fast. In fact, it's faster than the traditional KYC flows. It's slick. It feels like a mobile phone native experience, but it's got all this additional security benefit. And so we've taken technology with that in our kind of core IDV platform and then wrapped it into automatic and self-service MFA resets so that when a user is locked out, they can type their email address, go through a verification flow with NameTag, and then automatically reset their Okta, their Entra, their Duo, and et cetera, MFA credentials without never even needing to contact the help desk.
I'm sure the help desk is super excited about that.
Well, that's interesting. We made their lives easier. We started with this concept of giving help desk reps better tools. Because you know what, and you have a lot of research in this space, a person who works in a support role typically didn't go into that role because they dislike people or because they want to be an identity interrogator or an investigator. They went into the role to help people. And so suddenly you get these calls, and instead of it's, oh, how can I actually help fix your problem? It's, before we can get started, I need to interrogate you to make sure it's really you. And by the way, I might get it wrong. If I get it wrong, it's disastrous for my career and for my company. If I'm too aggressive, then you're going to have a horrible experience. It's sort of a lose-lose situation. But we've set up this process of every support call needing to begin with some kind of an interrogation. And so by giving help desk reps or support reps in general better tools, and we've created sort of an agent-assisted workflow that they can use. They can set a name tag verification link, then know who they're speaking with on phone, chat, whatever it might be, and then go help. It shifts the burden and it shifts the flow of the call from that person to say, I'm going to interrogate you to, hey, I'm using this tool to go do it. Great, let me know when that's done. Now I can help you and be sort of the friendly person I wanted to be in a support conversation. So we started there, but then we realized, hey, maybe there's a way to automate so that some users don't even need to contact support. And that just has an enormous cost savings benefit by deflecting a lot of those support tickets in the first place.
I love it. I love it. So you obviously created some really cool technology, but are there any other emerging tech trends or approaches that you're excited about?
Yeah, I think one of the most exciting and probably the most scary thing out there at the moment is deepfakes. And, this problem that we set out to solve of knowing who's behind the screen, when you're doing things like resetting your MFA credentials, wasn't necessarily a new problem. The problem has been around. It's gotten worse because MFA has been deployed in more scenarios. So that means you have more support tickets and more lockouts and more risk. But the world of deepfakes totally changed the game on that, because now it meant that the manual methods we were doing, as maybe they were frustrating, maybe they were expensive, but at least they kind of worked if you put enough human effort into it. You can get on, you could follow the guidance of Okta or other companies and do visual verification, which might mean, hopping on a video call and, seeing the person or having them hold something up before you reset their account. But in this world of deepfakes, you don't actually know if you're even speaking or seeing the person that you think you're connecting with. And so suddenly the technology that the bad actors are able to use is often more advanced than the technology that the good actors are using. And so this world of deepfakes, as exciting as it is for entertainment and for advertising and marketing purposes, wow, you can put a person in the middle of Times Square and have a really cool billboard ad without them ever having to go to Times Square. Like, that's amazing. Wow, what a beautiful ad you can make. There are benefits to this generative AI technology, particularly in the visual and auditory senses. But when it comes to identity impersonations, oh my gosh, have we just seen a surge in people being able to take advantage of those tools and frankly wreak havoc.
Aaron, thank you for sharing that. Final fun question for you. What's your favorite piece of retro technology that makes you smile?
Oh gosh, that's a great one. There's such a broad range. Kitchen, probably some stuff in the kitchen. Like, I don't know what I would do without, a knife, like a cutting board, actually like a pan to heat and cook food. They're just some simple things. Like, we jump to how do we consume content and create content, but, other basic things like sleep, gosh, beds, the ability to a pillow. I spend a lot of my day either sleeping, maybe perhaps cooking, perhaps eating with utensils when I'm not in front of a screen. And so I'd probably opt for things like that help make those parts of my life easy.
I love it. And most people think of it when I say retro tech, they think of like, ones and zeros, they think of that. And so I appreciate it. I always love when somebody comes with something that this is technology. This fork a spork at KFC, right? These are technologies. So thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning into the Cyber Pro podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and all of our cool bonus content.